Now, the guy on BlahTherapy that I chatted with today, he was right at the beginning was asking me if I can psychoanalyze him. So he wanted me to help him understand why he is fantasizing about one specific woman, but not about other women who he prefers, he said. And that's a pretty loaded statement because there are a lot of assumptions in there. Like, how do you prefer other women? Like, how do you mean that? Because attraction, to other people is really not something that is willed. It's really not something that is up to the conscious mind to make up, oh, I will like this person, or I do not want to like this person. Like, it's really a result of the subconscious evaluating another person according to subconsciously held standards, typically. I asked him about these women. Of course, by fantasizing he meant sexual fantasies, right? Okay, I get that. So it's pretty superficial. So the specific woman is not as beautiful, he said, as the other ones, even though at a later statement he said that she has beautiful hair, beautiful breasts, and a beautiful face. So it's certainly beauty is playing a role. She's not ugly to him. But what about the other women? So they apparently are also very beautiful and fit, and also personality-wise they are better. So the specific woman he's fantasizing about, when he doesn't get why he would fantasize about her, she apparently is not only less attractive than the other women, but the other women he knows and that he could date, he says, but also she has bad personality traits, such as interrupting other people, being rude with them. And so that whole thing is pretty confusing, because why, and actually the woman he's fantasizing about, she's in a relationship. He never said that she's in a relationship, but he said twice she's not single. And so typically when I feel confused in a conversation, it's really because the other person is confused and they do not realize that. And because it really doesn't make sense that you are attracted to a person who is less attractive than other people you could date and has a worse personality than other people you could date. So that doesn't make sense. And what made sense is that when I struck on resistance. So when other people are confused, they do not acknowledge that, right? That's really the crucial part. It's typically because they are not aware of resistances that they are facing. And the resistance came up when I was asking about dating women. So I was asking, well, why don't you? What if you pursued this woman, this specific woman? And he said, not relevant. Okay. And later I asked, why doesn't he date the women who are more attractive and have better personality? Not relevant, he said, right? So he has a clear resistance towards talking about actually dating women. And I don't know why, I can only speculate why, but this is controlling behavior, and controlling behavior is very fascinating. And I was wondering, like, can you actually help these people? Like, because as a listener on BlahTherapy, I'm always curious. I'm always asking myself whether I can do a better job. But the thing is that it's by far not all up to me, right? It's not all up to me in that not all people are willing to be helped, right? And when people have these resistances, like if he later said, like, I told him right up front, okay, if you want me to help you, you need to let go of, you need to surrender control to me, because really everything else makes no sense. Otherwise I'm just, because he can't help himself, right? He can't help himself. He comes to BlahTherapy to seek help, and he can't resolve it himself. So why would he continue to exercise control when he's clearly helpless? And the reason why he's doing that, of course, this is also just my amateur opinion and speculation, but I think it's a pretty solid case, is that he's trying to control me because he can't control himself, right? So whenever I brought up actually dating women, and he was always talking about Jamie Clean, some Asian beauty celebrity. And I like more like those, and the specific woman had a different hair color, and as if this really mattered in the realm of love. But of course, we're talking about the realm of lust. So whenever I brought up actually dating women, he was resistant to that. And so if I had continued asking him, if I had really been more assertive, which would have been fruitless, of course, because he had made clear that he won't go there. I'm not looking for dating advice. I'm here to find out why I fantasize about this specific woman. It's like, fantasizing about a specific woman and dating women is kind of like interconnect. You can't separate those two issues. Like if you have issues about dating women, then you are going to have stuff that you may not understand in the realms of fantasizing about women. Because he was like making the point that he likes women like this Asian celebrity, and I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't matter because it's about who you can actually date. You can't date that celebrity. So if I had continued to be assertive, then he would have probably left the conversation. I left earlier because he was defensive. I was telling him outright that he must surrender the control, and we need to talk about stuff that is important, because the story that he told me makes no sense. Why would you prefer other women that are more beautiful and have a better personality, yet you fantasize about another woman? And actually, this woman, the specific woman he talked about, seems to be attracted to him. So he was saying that she was rude around others by interrupting them and putting herself in front of others, apparently around him, obviously, right? He's the spectator. So that's an indicator that she likes him very much and that she is actually asserting control over the environment. Haha, surprise. And another instance was that she put her bare feet on his lap, and he said he actually really liked that. Well, guess what? That's a sign that she is very attracted to him. And so that made sense, right? He was portraying those kinds of instances as signs of a bad personality, of a rude personality, which is kind of odd, because I have seen worse than people interrupting others. And apart from that, he was saying that at one time a friend suggested that the specific woman hooks him up with another hot friend that she has, and she was like, no, she's not his type. So she wanted to keep him single, apparently. And all the more it's curious that he never explicitly said that she's in a relationship, but he always just said she's not single. And so I'm kind of wondering, is she like waiting for him to pursue her, or so that she can let go of her current boyfriend or so? Wouldn't be surprising. The reason it doesn't make sense for him to say something like not relevant is because how would he know what is relevant or not, right? If he wants me to help him, then he needs to acknowledge the fact that as the helper, he needs to surrender judgment of what is relevant to me. And so I was really asking myself, like, could I do better with this? And I was thinking about Stefan Molyneux, who of course ran for many years the call-in show, where typically people would talk about personal issues, because that's really what matters most to people, compared to philosophy or personal stuff. It's usually the personal stuff. And I very much am in line with that. I find the personal stuff much more interesting. And philosophy can help with that, but philosophy can never make somebody happy who hasn't worked out his personal life. So the people who call into the show, into Free Domain, or Free Domain Radio as it was called until recently, they are typically, they are of course pre-selected, and they are the best of the best in a way, in that they really want to grow, right? And they respect the authority in the room, right? So they surrender their control to Stefan. And from the top of my head, I've listened to, probably 2,000 podcasts of the show, of which there are like 4,500, and I don't remember any specific instance where there was a person who was as controlling as this person on BlahTherapy. And so I'm really wondering, like, I want to do better. I want to be the more helpful listener, but I don't think that you can help controlling people, because with controlling people, they forever project their insecurity onto other people. They're trying to make other people control other people because they don't want to look in the mirror. They don't want to feel uncomfortable themselves. And so they make other people uncomfortable by trying to control the conversation, right? So for the other person, it's either you give up your authenticity, like you surrender into a state that is not you and that is not appropriate, or you exit the conversation. So I don't believe that there is any kind of persuasion that would, and any kind of like help with this guy that would resolve that, because it's a so fundamental issue. If you are unwilling to go towards a specific place in the realm of psychology, because the result would make you feel a certain way that would probably overwhelm you and that you therefore can't allow, then that's really the barrier. That's really the kind of stick in the bicycle wheel to self-development, right? If you want to grow as a person, you need to be willing to feel bad about something you did, about yourself, about the past, about what other people did to you. And if the resistance is too stark, in other words, when people dissociate once they get close to that, because subconsciously they know that this would be too much, then there's really a curious question. It's like, do you need the best helper in the world to help this person understand that and to resolve that resistance, or is it futile? Will the person always reject somebody who's trying to help that person by going to the place they need to go in order to resolve the problem that is surfacing? And another thing that I want to add to that is that this person, right, I exited the conversation after telling him, like, this won't work. Like, you need to surrender the control of the conversation to me, and we need to talk about issues that are extremely closely related to the stuff that you want me to talk about. But so this person's most likely going to come back. It's most likely going to come looking for another person to do the exact same thing with. That person, if it's a good helper, will end up at the point of resistance, right? That's always, the resistance is always the cause for a story that doesn't add up. Like when things logically don't add up, it's always because there is something that can't be talked about. The unspoken truth. And so he's going to come back, and whenever the resistance comes up, it's going to be the end of the conversation, essentially. Or we're only going to continue talking about the superficial stuff, which doesn't resolve the issue. Because only if you understand the fundamental issue can you really resolve the confusion. And it's kind of fascinating that they have this resistance which protects a part of their personality, so which is it's rooted in trauma, something they don't want to go to. But at the same time, it's not helping them, and it's keeping them in this cycle of never resolving this superficial issue because they never want to go to the actual cause. So yeah, I guess it's one of those things that are dysfunction manifesting in other people, and the things, the kind of psychological defense mechanisms that were helpful in childhood are very detrimental in adult life.